From the CyberHub bunker and studio, you're tuning in to the CyberHub Podcast. And now for your host and CiSO, James Azar.
Good morning from Hacker Summit Camp, and welcome everyone to another episode of the CyberHub Podcast, a packed show for all of y'all this morning. So we're really excited to get the show going here. First of all, the show is brought to you by our friends from Nudge Security. You'll hear more from them later on in the show, so don't go anywhere. We got CrowdStrike on the hook today with a final root cause analysis. George Kurtz yesterday spoke at one of the side events over at Black Hat, and I was there, and again, he did a magnificent job kind of addressing it with a whole lot more on the show today. So let's go ahead and get the ball rolling. It's really, really early, so early, but thank God I have my espresso travel mug with me to enjoy a coffee cup with all of y'all this morning. Coffee cup cheers, y'all. All right, let's go ahead and get the ball rolling here with CrowdStrike finally releasing a root cause analysis that details the mishap that really kind of shuttered the global economy for a Friday morning, crossing the window blue screen of death. The root cause analysis documents a combination of factors of the Falcon EDR sensor crash. One was a mismatch between inputs that was validated by a content validator and those provided to a content interpreter, which created an out-of-bounds read issue in the content interpreter, and the absence of a specific test and have had to work with Microsoft on a secure and reliable access to the Windows kernel. Sensors that received the new version of the channel file 2901 carrying the problematic content were exposed due to a latent out-of-bounds read issue in the content interpreter. At the next IPC notification from the operating system, the new IPC template instance were evaluated, specifying a comparison against the 21st input value. The content interpreter expected only 20 values, and it had 21. And, well, that one, that's all it takes is that one. So that 21st value produced an out-of-bounds memory read beyond the end of the input data array, which resulted in the system crashing altogether. The company said its kernel driver, which is loaded early in the system boot process, allows the Falcon sensors to observe and defend against malware that launches before user mode processes start, and pledged to update its agent to leverage new support for security function in the user space, reducing reliance on the kernel driver. As new versions of Windows introduce support for performing more of these security functions in user space, CrowdStrike will update its agent to utilize this support. Significant work remains for the Windows ecosystem to support a robust security product that doesn't rely on the kernel driver for at least some of its functionality, and they're committed to working with Microsoft to do just that. The release comes after Delta Airline publicly started a battle with CrowdStrike, saying they've lost $500 million in revenue. And if we talk about that, Microsoft is joining CrowdStrike and kind of fighting back against Delta Airline, which is blaming kind of both companies for thousands of canceled flights following the outage last month. A lawyer for Microsoft said on Tuesday that Delta's key IT system is probably serviced by other technology companies and not just Microsoft Windows. Your letter and Delta's public comments are incomplete, false, misleading, and damaging to Microsoft and its reputation, according to Microsoft lawyer Mark Shefo in a letter to Delta attorney David Boyce. Shefo says Microsoft was trying to determine why other airlines were able to fully restore business operations so much faster than Delta. These comments represents an escalating fight now between kind of what's boiling up to be on side one. Here in the blue corner, we have CrowdStrike and Microsoft. And on the red corner, we have Delta Airlines. And now they're kind of fighting it out. The lawyers are out there going like, what have you been doing? And what have you been doing? It said that both Microsoft and did not, like Delta had turned down their offers to help the airline recover from the outage last month. Going as far as Microsoft saying that CEO Satya Nadella emailed Bastion during the outage, but the Delta CEO never replied to the email. There we go. We have it. It's right there in front of all of y'all. What do you think? What do you think? What's going to happen here? I think Delta's trying to save face a little bit. I think there was chaos in Delta maybe not a good IT recovery plan. We could see leadership changes in the Delta ranks there, because as more and more information becomes available, we more and more understand that CrowdStrike, Microsoft, many offered to help and no replies were given. So we'll see what happens there. Criminals have targeted a UK-based mobile device management company, Mobile Guardian, remotely wiping thousands of devices. According to the company, which specializes in MDM solutions for the education sector, it detected unauthorized access to its platform on August 4th. In response to the intrusions, servers were shut down to contain the incident and prevent further disruption. The incident involved unauthorized access to iOS and Chrome OS devices enrolled in the Mobile Guardian platforms. The attackers' motives are unclear, but they apparently unrolled devices from the platform and wiped them remotely. The breach is still being investigated. The company's current statement on the incident is there's no evidence the attackers gained access to user data. Instances were impacted were in North America, Europe, and Singapore. The exact number of affected devices is unknown, but Mobile Guardian described it as a small percentage. One of the impacted customers, Singapore's Ministry of Education, said 13,000 student devices from 26 schools were remotely wiped by the attackers. The incident caused significant disruptions in Singapore, with students being unable to access applications and information stored on their iPads and Chromebooks. The Singapore Ministry of Education said that Mobile Guardian application will be removed from all iPads and Chromebooks following the incident. There you have it. There you have it. MDM remote wipe. There it is. Let that sink in. They hacked them, and then they wiped customer devices while they're investigating it. Yeah, the savviness never goes away. I said several years ago, as what my wiper malware gets introduced more and more and more. And this wasn't my wiper malware. This is they hacked an MDM company, and then they went and they wiped customer devices and removing MDM. So that's there, but this is starting to get tested in the battlefield with wiping devices altogether. That's a scary thought all of within itself, and something that is going to be haunting us as practitioners in the years to come. A global stop payment mechanism that was created by Interpol successfully recovered over $40 million stolen in a business email compromise attack on a company in Singapore. And Interpol says this is their largest recovery of funds stolen through a BEC scam, where typically someone will pretend to be a vendor, a customer, someone who's owed money. They'll email through an intercepted email chain, sometimes, or even through a new process with updated bank information, and then the company will just send the money to that bank. These attacks are conducted significantly. Last year, there were 21,489 complaints, worth $2.9 billion in reported losses due to business email compromise, according to the FBI IC3 report. The iGrip recovers, according to the announcement by Interpol, a commodity firm based in Singapore, fell victim to that, and the tool, thinking it was a legitimate request, the firm wired $42.3 million to attacker-controlled bank accounts, only to realize a day later that they had fallen for the attack. After reporting the attack to Singapore authorities, law enforcement used Interpol's Global Rapid Intervention of Payment to request assistance from authorities in Timor-Leste and recovered $39 million from the BEC account. Further investigation by the Timor-Leste authorities led to arrest of 7 suspects and the recovery of an additional $2 million, bringing the total recovered amount to $41 million. So all in all, not too shabby there. And now our friends at Nudge Security would like to share with you exactly what they're doing to help you combat AI in your environment.
Do you know who's experimenting with AI in your organization? Our friends over at Nudge Security have come up with a patented approach for SaaS discovery, giving you a full inventory of all apps ever introduced by anyone in your organizations, and all in minutes. This includes Gen AI applications. The best part is you don't even have to know what you're looking for. You simply do a quick one-time setup, so easy, no change management required, no browser plugins, no network proxies, no agent. Nudge Security is going to discover and categorize every SaaS and cloud account ever created by anyone in your organization. You can get a free 14-day trial today. You'll get a full list of all Gen AI apps and users. You'll get insights into their security posture, compliance certification, breach history, and more, so you can quickly vet new AI tools and guide users towards a secure alternative. Take control of Gen AI security risks today by going to nudgesecurity.com/CyberHub. nudgesecurity.com/cyberhub to start your free 14-day trial today.
So go check them out. And if you're at Hacker Summer Camp and you run into someone from Nudge, let them know. So reputation-based security controls may be less effective at protecting organizations against unsafe web applications and content than many assume. A study by researchers at Elastic Security found that attackers have developed several effective techniques over the past several years to bypass mechanisms that block or allow application and content based on reputation and trustworthiness. The techniques include using a digitally signed malware tool to make them appear legit, as well as reputation hijacking, reputation tampering, and specially crafted LNK files. Reputation-based protection systems are another layer in essentially a defense in-depth types of strategy. However, the protection techniques have weaknesses, and essentially there's always a kind of, this is one of the things about defense in depth as practitioners, right? There's continuous improvement that has to be done all the time, where it's a cat and mouse game, and we set a control and it does really well for a period of time because the attackers can get past it. Eventually they find a way through, and when they do, that control becomes almost moot. It doesn't mean that we got to take away that layer of defense in depth. It means we've got to continuously look at improving it. And this is a challenge, by the way, for so many practitioners, because now it goes to, who's my admin managing this device? And do I have someone that's managing this full time? Or is it kind of something that someone checks in on once a week, once a month, once a quarter, and kind of looks at it, right? And this goes to the essence of a challenge for so many practitioners in having so many different tools, in having so many different layers in defense in depth within your environment. You're trying to really defend against everything, and when you're trying to defend against everything, a lot of times some of those smaller layers are easily taken down, and then they're really standing at the gate of your kingdom, and you're wondering how they got there. For the study, the researchers used the Microsoft Windows Smart App Control and Smart Screen technologies as example for reputation-based mechanisms. Smart Screen is a feature that Microsoft introduced with Windows 8. It protects against malicious website applications and file downloads. It's verified whether the files have the mark of the web on them, or files that Windows tags as downloaded from the internet can be trusted. Smart App Control became available with Windows 11, and it uses Microsoft's threat intel service to determine if an application is trustworthy enough to run or not. Now, if threat intelligence is unable to determine an app's trustworthiness, SAC verifies if the app is digitally signed before allowing it to run, so the manipulation exists there. One common way these attackers work their way around Smart App Control is by signing their malware with an extended validation SSL certificate, which they can easily get, because as long as there's some sort of validation to why they need it, they can get it, and there's a market for it. And that way, that actually SSL certificate will say, well, this seems legit, it's got a legit cert, and it lets it work. So they're exploiting good reputation of trusted applications. That's another one that they do, and that could do that with applications, websites, or other entity. They're finding that attackers often target trusted script hosts or programs that execute scripts like low-end Node.js or AutoHotkey for these types of attacks. They also use foreign function interface capability to do that as well. They're also finding attackers using a technique called reputation seeding, where they're bypassing reputation-based filtering mechanisms. For these, they introduce their own seemingly benign binaries or executable files into a target system to wait for them to build up a positive reputation over time. And these are kind of more staged attack. And again, if you're a nation state, or if you're part of an affiliate, right, within a cyber crime group, so you've got stuff that's right here, right now, go join an affiliate of a ransomware group in order to make some money. Then you've got stuff that you're sewing in to really kind of have a larger share of something, because you've got those back doors and you're able to really make that happen. So that's there as well. The notorious hacking group APT28 have launched a sophisticated campaign to distribute headless malware through deceptive car sales advertisement. This new technique began in March of this year, targeted diplomats, leveraging fake car ads to mask their malicious intent. Fancy Bear is a prominent APT associated and linked to the Russian military intelligence groups. The group has a long history of doing very, very elaborate phishing schemes in order to deliver malware. This latest one is a car ad campaign around fake advertisements for luxury cars, a tactic that's really become a staple for cyber criminals. They used fraudulent ad for an Audi Q7 Quattro SUV as bait. The ad was crafted to appeal to diplomats using the guise of a legitimate car to lure victims to click on malicious links. Unit 42 over at Palo Alto revealed that they exploited public and free services to execute the attacks. The malicious link was hosted on a webhook site, a service typically used for creating randomized URLs for development projects. They leveraged this legitimate service, and then they could distribute a malicious HTML document without raising any sort of attention. And when you look at the malware itself, there was a zip file that contained 3 files, an executable disguised as an image, a DLL library, and a batch file. The disguised executables were named after just a random image, appeared to be a benign image, looked to contain a Windows calculator program. The file was then used to sideload the DLL libraries, Windows code cs.dll, which is part of the headless backdoor malware. And that module is an sophisticated form of malware known for its ability to execute in different stages. It knows how to obfuscate itself. It's saving in the victim's program data directory, and it's executing it. The campaign was attributed to fighting URSA with medium to high level of confidence. The group's use of public services to host malicious elements aligns with those previously documented techniques. So all in all, we're seeing Russia still do that. The NHA software supplier Advance is facing a £6 million fine over the ransomware attack failings. The company was hit by a ransomware attack that disrupted Britain's NHS back in August of 2022 and is facing a data protection fine of over £6 million or $7.6 million for failing to protect PII of tens of thousands of people. Advanced, which provides IT services to numerous healthcare providers in the UK, apparently allowed attackers to steal phone numbers and medical records. They allowed them. They're not a victim of a crime. They willingly did this. And 82,946 people, according to the UK Information Commission Office. What a choice. Allowed. Announcing its provisional decision on Wednesday to fine the company £6 million. The ICO said the ransomware group also exfiltrated data of how to gain entry to the homes of 890 people who were receiving care at home. So they say there's serious failings, including taking down NHS 111 critical service used to triage non-emergency but urgent medical calls. Doctor nurses were forced to resort to pen and paper to complete their jobs due to the impact on IT systems. It provoked a crisis management COBAR meeting in the British government, and they got fined £6 million for it. Despite installing measures and the provisional findings finds that Advanced failed to keep its healthcare system secure. They expect all organizations take fundamental steps to secure their systems, like checking for vulnerabilities, implementing MFA, and keeping systems up to date with the latest security patches. Again, just set a standard, hold them to that. All right, there's that. Finally, Samsung announced on Tuesday that they've paid out nearly $5 million through its bug bounty program since its launch in 2017, including $828,000 just in 2023 alone. 113 researchers got paid for responsibly disclosing vulnerabilities in Galaxy mobile devices. The highest reward exceeded $57,000, and it went to the TASIC security labs. So all in all, the community is coming together, and now they're increasing these bug bounties to reach up to $1 million. So all in all, Samsung is there. That's it for our show this morning. We'll be back tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Pacific, with the latest. Until then, enjoy Hacker Summer Camp. We'll see you around. Stay cyber safe, y'all.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform.